and I just find that drawing really satisfies that search. How are you doing, Amber? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. I'm just nodding my head in agreement with you.
You know what I mean?
Since I've rediscovered watercolor painting, I haven't been happier.
Oh God, that's so awesome.
It's just every time I do it, even when I mess it up, I'm enjoying every single moment of it.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. The journey, there's something about the journey, man.
Yes, it's more about the journey than the destination.
That's right. Yep, that's absolutely correct.
I think so too. And well, anyway, hey, we're live, so I just wanted to thank you both for coming today, and thank you for watching another episode of Drawing for Tattooers. I'm James Wisdom, and with me today we have Amber and Spirit. Again, really great to have you both, and so we're going to get started in just a minute. I'm going to do the prerequisite announcements as we normally go through, but in the meantime, while we're doing that, you want to get warmed up, or you want to maybe even check out some of our sponsors. That would be cool. So let me see here. I think I can share my screen. I'm gonna go with that, and I'm also gonna so many windows. It does get confusing. So let's see here. Hang in there with me, everybody. Appreciate your patience.
Monday morning technology.
I know it. Well, we're gonna get the hang of it, I think, eventually. That's it. I need this part here. This will help me keep on track. Okay, great. And then let's see here. This right here. Terrific. Cool. So excellent. I think I am all set to share my screen with y'all. Let's see here. Share the screen. This one, share it.
Here we go.
Cool. Yeah, so hopefully you're able to see my screen here, Reinventing the Tattoo.com. Yeah, so good morning, gang, and welcome to Guy Atchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join these live stream and real-world events to share, inspire, and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We meet out nearly every day, and with your help have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that have been receiving rave reviews. You can find Reinventing the Tattoo on all the app stores, Apple App Store and Google Play Store, as well as our YouTube channel, Facebook page, and Roku. That's Roku, reinventingthetattoo.com/Roku, where we actually have multiple channels going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can also catch our podcast on all the major podcast directories such as Apple and Spotify. But no matter where you're watching live or on demand, the latest and greatest can always be found at reinventingthetattoo.com. You can even try it out for free. We have sample webinars, and we've got the Reinventing the Tattoo canon. There's advice from Guy Atchison himself. And of course, there's a way to interface with him and let him know about your unique goals. There's also a comprehensive tattoo history course from Jay Brown that's also free. So be sure to check out our lineup of weekly staple shows. So I'm scrolling through the maybe that helps. Scrolling through the site a little bit, and so we have here are a few more of our shows right here, right? So we've got Reinventing the Tattoo 24/7, and it is it's much like our Roku channel. It plays 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We also have professional development courses available from over 20 world-class tattoo artists. So be sure to tag a friend who loves tattoos. Maybe it's a friend or a coworker or someone who's interested in getting a tattoo or getting into tattooing. But we want this to be a great resource for the tattoo community. So let's talk about some of our lineup of shows. Beginning on Sunday, Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have Sunday Skill Building with Jason Liser. It is a really interesting program where we talk about all sorts of subjects, and Jason is always showing us some of his incredible work. So it's really quite a treat. So that's Sundays at 1 p.m. Mondays, beginning at 9 a.m. Eastern, we have Drawing for Tattooers with me, James Wisdom. This is a show that's sort of dedicated to the fundamentals of drawing. And, we talk about tattoos a little bit, but, really I think it's really sort of this space where we kind of talk about like our skills and where, how we can sort of, apply some of these ideas about drawing to our tattooing. So it's a lot of fun for me, and I hope it's also valuable for you as well. Let's see. Let me get back on track here. Yeah, at 11 a.m. we have the Tattoo Weekly, hosted by Lauren Gregory and Jake Meeks of the Fireside Tattoo Network, as well as Gabe Ripley of Tattoo Now. That's all followed at 5 p.m. Easterns on Monday with Let's Talk About Our Feelings with Robbie Ripple. At 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the subscribers exclusive drawing groups led by Guy and Sandy. That's followed up by Tuesdays. On Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern with the Tuesday Feels Drawing Group with Ricardo Sturdivant. There's Guy. And then Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, the Tattoo Now show. It's the business side of tattooing. Thursdays at 6 p.m. we have the Tattoo 101 Collecting podcast hosted by Fawn Baker. Let me just go through and thank some of our sponsors. Here's the event schedule. If you're watching this currently, you can see all the different events that you can check out. Right, so scroll down here to our sponsors. Right, Raw Pigments. Raw Pigments is a company that's tapping into the source, rawpigments.co. These are acrylic-free, vegan-friendly, powder-based pigments, and they are absolutely incredible. So take a look at rawpigments.co, worldtattooevents.com, the most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. So for the latest and greatest in tattoo event information, or a tattoo event coming to a town near you, take a look at worldtattooevents.com. D-Lize Pro, also known as Dermalize, is a bandage that is designed to help you protect your brand new tattoo. So check out D-Lize Pro. It is developed by a wound care specialist and specifically designed to help heal your tattoos. There's tons of videos out there to check it out, so make sure that you do. Tattoo Now. TattooNow.com is a technology for tattooers, leading edge in professional development. They also have digital tools and CRM software. So be sure to ask for Gabe at TattooNow.com and have him set you up with some of their cutting edge technology. And of course, this wouldn't be Reinventing the Tattoo without Guy Atchison. So we want to thank Guy Atchison so much for being the inspiration and founder behind this community. And also, we want to mention GuyAtchison.com. This is where you can find Guy Atchison merchandise, his bio encyclopedia. It's very cool. DVDs, custom coil machines, original oil paintings, as well as prints. So be sure to check out GuyAtchison.com or ReinventingTheTattoo.com. Quick shout out to some of our affiliate networks, the Fireside Tattoo Network by Jake Meeks. Lots of great content and also really helpful and insightful, I think, fundamental art that Jake has put together, Jake and his team. So check that out, and then also the Apprenticeship Diaries with Amy Nichols. So if you're an apprentice or if you know an apprentice, you could point them to the Apprenticeship Diaries. Okay, so yeah, how's it going, gang? Are we all ready to draw?
Definitely.
That's awesome. Hey, that wasn't too bad. I'm hoping that it's like,
That was pretty smooth.
working on it. I'm trying to get it as efficient. I
You're
want to,
getting better
give
every
you.
week, man.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was pretty smooth.
You're too
Absolutely.
kind.
I even went to some of the links this time.
That's cool. No, I think that's really cool. Well, I also, I mean, I'm not only just shilling for these. I'm also like a participant. I use raw pigments in my tattoos. I also use Tattoo Now. I use Reinventing the Tattoo. When I want to learn about like tattoo events, I go to worldwide tattoo events. So, we I think that there is a lot of great community here. So we're recommending things to you that we really believe in, and we actually use them. So,
Hey, Jason, have you gone to any of these? Have you gone to any of these conventions overseas?
Sorry, I'm still making breakfast. I've gone to a few shows overseas. Yeah.
Or yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like to talk to you about
London,
conventions
Paris,
overseas.
Rome, Dublin. And I've got a couple more on the slate for next year.
Nice.
I like to travel.
Yeah, me too, man. Like I really want to travel internationally. I've done a lot of traveling
Have you ever traveled
nationally.
internationally?
Yes,
Okay, cool. All right. So you
just
already
never
know.
for tattooing.
It's not easy.
No.
No. Especially in Europe, man. It's a nightmare.
Okay, I'll be sure to talk to you about that when the time comes.
Yeah, let me know.
Okay.
And also, if you ever need a travel buddy or a booth buddy for a show, man, hit me up.
All right, word. I
I'm
will.
always looking for people to work booths with and like have more like travel buddies that are willing to like go global.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to hit Australia, New Zealand, Japan, um, South Korea. I've got buddies over in Malaysia, so I'd love to head out there for a little bit.
Oh wow.
Scotland, I might be doing a 2 week stint in Scotland this coming year.
Nice.
So it's you build a global network of people by working at these international shows, and the
Mm,
only thing it's doing is benefiting you in the long run because now you can go anywhere in the world and travel, right?
yeah, and
And
work.
you can
Yeah.
learn how people over in Europe are doing what they do, or how are people in Australia doing it because they are absolutely crushing it right now.
Right.
So I always like to learn from people all over the globe because it really gives you a more broad insight into um, a lot of different things.
Mm.
Oh, in Canada, I was just up in Canada, but I wasn't working at it. I was just attending it at the Deadly show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was a life-altering event. I learned so much just by walking up and down the aisles. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Well, you had guys like James Tex, who was doing a 3-day collaboration with Steve Moore, right? Which was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
You had my buddy Phibbs. He was doing a collaboration with Jay Marceau, whose color work is spectacular. That was a 2-day collab where they literally covered a girl's the entire back of her legs, from like bottom of the butt
Wow.
cheek to the ankle. Solid work,
Goodness
and
gracious.
completed in 15 hours.
God. Mm,
Yeah.
I love it.
You had guys like Chris Dunn, who I really, really admire. I actually got tattooed by him all day Saturday. Anthony Tex is right next to him. He's like James Tex 2.0. Not knocking James at all. I'm just saying, like, James passed along all of his information.
Mhm.
And then across the aisle, you have guys like Shane Ford. And if you don't know Shane Ford, go and look him up.
That's it.
Teresa Sharp was there, Christina Christie was there, John Clue stopped by and said hi. It was like an all-star show. It was ridiculous.
Oh man, that's cool.
You had guys there that were leading the field in like illustrative work and Japanese style work. You didn't see too many realism artists there, which I kind of liked because
What?
yeah. I did kind of enjoy that because it seems like every convention you go to now, it's like nothing
It's all
but
realism.
people doing realism. And there,
Right.
yes, there is a
Mhm.
talent to that. Don't get me wrong. There is a skill level that someone needs to have in order to be able to reproduce an image. Absolutely. To me, being able to create an image from scratch, not just reproduce it or duplicate it or replicate it, but be able to create it from
Mhm.
absolutely nothing. Like we were talking about yesterday on the show when James was there, to take a piece of paper that is your window to the world and create someone or something that didn't exist before.
Mhm.
That to me is something I give way more credit to than being able to sit down, take a found Google image, and be able to put that on someone's skin.
Right.
To me, I would take the person that creates the image over the person that duplicates it any day of the week.
Mhm. That's real.
And a lot of people at that show have a lot of the same philosophies. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that we had a great conversation yesterday um, on Jason's show. We talked about art. We talked about philosophy, history of
please don't
art.
bring up Cy Twombly.
Yeah, we did talk about we talked about a few artists, some of them controversial. Um, like not as they don't share as much agreement like say like in our community, right? Maybe there's maybe like you get in your bubbles, right? Where you get in your circle, and everybody agrees on something, and what you agree, what you like, you agree, what you dislike, these sorts of ideas. So I thought that was really nice to kind of like expand our horizons in certain respects. Um, but yeah, I mean the whole idea of the counterfeit came up, right? The person who can recreate exactly something from a reference. Um, Now it's like we were talking about a painting. If you could, sort of keep the same materials together and totally reproduce some, old painting or something, uh, you know, we look at that as a counterfeit. We don't see it as necessarily the art is in there somewhere, but maybe the actual work itself is not the art. But of course, we start talking about if we start talking about tattooing and stuff, it's like there's a difference in materials, but the same sorts of skill sets are involved. Like you want to be able to completely reproduce this masterpiece, right? It's like a master copy,
Right.
and so there is this real important place for doing that as a practice. And of course, like if you can sell them as a part of your your business, then yeah, why not? I think there's also all kinds of opportunity there. But again, I agree with you, Jason, that like we should be striving towards the sort of creation of our own art. The creation of our own sort of compositions, our own sorts of things, and I do think that it doesn't come out of a vacuum, right? It emerges from our practices, right? The things that we consume, the things that we do, our habits, and all of that contributes to what will emerge, right? Who it is that you are and how you become who you are. So, I think it's a process, right? It's a process to be able to compose anything at all. And so I'm really fascinated by this, and so there was definitely a few I think insights that we gained like through our conversation, and I think sort of carrying that forward is I think it's really valuable. Hey, I wanted to say hello to Lita. Good morning, Lita. Thank you for joining us. If you just want to hang out in the back and draw, that's totally fine. If you want to unmute and chit chat with us or turn on your camera, please feel invited to do that. Also, I saw Noah popped in, but I wasn't able to. Yeah, cool. Thanks. Thank you for letting us know that, Lita. So here with us in spirit, right? So it's absolutely great to have you. It's great to have you all. And so yeah, cool. So there was something that I wanted to just to touch on briefly, and that's the passing, of a really incredible artist, Kim Jong-gi.
Oh
Jong-gi
yeah.
died like last week, right? Yes, it's so unexpected. I think he was like 47 or something like that.
Yeah.
Just an incredible talent and somebody who I think had an outsized influence on on many like areas of art that we get to enjoy. Here's Noah right here. So admit Noah. Um, yeah, so Kim Jong-gi, if for those of you who are not familiar, it's a South Korean born artist. He was a comic book artist and just almost the most incredible creative streak, the most incredible creative sort of capacity that you could imagine. You watch him draw, and it was like a magic trick almost. Sort of make this
Mm-hmm.
stuff appear out of nowhere. Um, but of course, like he was, he had really mastered perspective. He had really mastered being able to draw form, being able to use tone, line, and then anatomy. He knew a lot about anatomy. And so, another thing that I just wanted to tie, I really looked up to him, really respected, his work. But I think there's a lot of the same sorts of like themes that we're trying to cover here. Why? Just like Jason was talking about, we want to try to be able to compose our own images. We want to be able to do our own thing. And so when we look to, we look to people who have mastered their craft, again, it's, this emulation is the most sincere form of flattery, but also it's this process, a part of this process that helps you become who you are. And so, yeah, that was it was quite a shock, right? But that happens, right? We all die eventually. On a long enough timeline, everyone's survival rate drops to zero. So we have to keep that in mind. It's one of those. It's the facts of life. Um, but are you doing everything that you can? I I know that it's easier said than done, and it's certainly I think it's a question to kick you in the ass, right?
Yeah.
You're never going to be able to do everything you can. I mean, you can really try hard to do it, but that's the fun part, right? I think that's the hopefully the gas that drives you is that you are going to end up like overcoming yourself, overcoming these things that hold you back because you really desire to be more than you are right now, right? So yeah, always be in process where you're always moving. You're always moving. It may not always be forward. Sometimes it's two steps back, right? It's, yeah, sometimes it's not always a forward motion, right? Sometimes there's some loss. There's loss.
Yeah, but loss is also inspiring.
I think so, right? When you can win in the losing, then you know, then what can be better than that,
Yeah.
right? What could be better than that?
As a wise man once said, though, if you learn from your mistakes, is it ever truly a loss?
Yeah. No,
Exactly.
I think that I believe in that. It's again, it's easier said than done. It's
Mm.
so easy to say it, but it's. But yeah, if we're having a discussion, and I get convinced that I was incorrect about something, then yeah, then I've certainly, you know, I got the then I'm actually the one that benefits the most, right? Because you already knew what you knew, but I gained something, and this is I think this is a basic. We're all kind of trying to say we're saying the same thing, just semantically. We're coming up with different ways to say it. So anyway, I to touch on these sad notes, but of course it's in this spirit of drawing that we're here together today, and we're talking about artists that inspire us, um, and about art that makes us feel stuff, even if that feeling is infuriating sometimes. There's
Oh,
some
yeah.
art that infuriates us, and that's I think that's a part of the power of it. Bring us to the heights and bring us to the deepest depths as well. So, well, I had something I wanted to share. Let me see if I can actually share it with us here. So, right. So this only works. Okay, all right. So I can share this. I can share this. Hmm. It's not being shared on my. There we go. Okay. I'm really trying to get I'm really trying to make sure that I'm doing everything as efficiently as I possibly can. So I've got like three different monitors going here. I want I've had this experience before when I one time I did a presentation, it was one of these classes, and it was like, and I just went for it. I had it all planned out and everything. Everything was like everything was all figured, and so I just started going. And then about an hour into it, I get a text from Gabe. He's like, "Can't hear a word." I had no sound at all. You know what I mean? So
All done
embarrassing.
that. We have
I,
all done that.
then you feel me, right? Then you feel it. But at the same time, it was I said fuck it, and I just went ahead and I just did it again. Same thing, the same thing to what I was doing. And anyway, it was even better the second time. Better the second time. You know what I
Hey.
mean? So anyway, um, hopefully you can all see my screen share. I was going to share this chapter. It's the first chapter from Andrew Loomis's figure drawing for all it's worth. Again, I'm a big proponent of books. I love books. Think that adding books to your collection. Um, I think it only strengthens your art practice, and so
Mm.
this is a particularly this is an old book. I think there are things that you'll find to be dated, and there are things that you may not all like. There may be things you don't even agree with, but there's a lot of knowledge, and wisdom in this book. Figure drawing for all it's worth, especially for us visual artists. There's a lot you can take from it. So, again, there's a we have a particular time and culture where we the way that we are conditioned to think about things is going to be different, right? It's going to be different from other times and other cultures. So, it's always good to take things with a grain of salt. Um, but I don't think we don't throw out completely the old, right? Just because it doesn't like conform to our notions. And so, oh, that's good. Anyway, so I wanted to share this with us too, and there's some I know there's some things that we can take from it. I won't read all of it, but I guess I just figured that like there was a little bit I wanted to cover. Um, so and this was something too that I was getting from sort of and from learning from Kim Jong Gi, and that is like just observing your surroundings, adding that to your regular drawing practice, right? Like draw it your way, but you're also using your powers of observation, right? Um, so yeah, we can. I think we start. I'll just start here. Uh, right. There was a time when the artist withdrew to a bare attic to live in seclusion for an ideal. For subject, a plate of apples sufficed. Today, however, art has become an integral part of our lives, and the successful artist cannot set himself apart. He must do a certain job in a definitive manner and to a definitive purpose with a specific date of delivery. Start at once to take a new interest in people. Look for typical characters everywhere. Familiarize yourself with their characteristics and the details that distinguish them. What is arrogance in terms of light and shadow, form and color? What lines give frustration and forlorn hope to people? What is a gesture in relation to emotion? Why is a certain childish face adorable, a certain adult face suspicious and untrustworthy? You must search for the answers to these questions and be able to make them clear to your public. This knowledge will in time become a part of you, but it can come only from observation and understanding. Try to develop the habit of observing your surroundings carefully. Someday you may want to place a figure in a similar atmosphere. You cannot succeed completely with the figure unless you can draw the details of the setting. So begin now to collect a file of details that give a setting its atmosphere. Learn to observe significant details. You must be concerned with more than Martha's hairdress. Precisely why does Martha in a formal gown look so different in shorts or slacks? How do the folds of the dress break at the floor when she sits down? Watch emotional gestures and expressions. What does a girl do with her hands when she says, "Oh, that's wonderful"? Or with her feet when she drops into a chair and says, "Gosh, I'm tired"? What does a mother's face register when she appeals to the doctor? Is there no hope? Or a child when he says, "Gee, that's good"? You must have more than mere technical ability to produce a good drawing. And so I just wanted to there's all kinds of really I think very insightful things in this chapter for us to to read through. But I just sort of like that, I like that idea of observing your surroundings and really um, uh, really becoming like perceptive to others, right? To others, and this thought about like how we can convey emotion and information through our drawings. It seems so intuitive, but it takes practice, right? Um, right. So, and this is, I think, a really one more small segment I wanted to touch on here, and then we'll actually look at some pictures and we'll draw some stuff. So, all right, and this is about what is line as a question, like what is line, right? So, the eye perceives form much more readily by contour or edge than by modeling. Yet there is really no outline on form. Rather, there is a silhouette of contour encompassing as much of the form as we can see from a single viewpoint. We must, of necessity, limit that form some way. So we draw a line, an outline. An outline truly belongs within the category of flat rendering, though it can be accompanied by the use of light and shadow. The painter dispenses with outline because he can define the contours against the masses or build the form in relief by use of values. You must understand the difference between contour and line. A piece of wire presents a line, but a contour is an edge. That edge may be sharp limitation of the form, the edges of a cube, or a rounded and disappearing limitation, the contour of a sphere. Many contours pass in front of one another like the contours of an undulating landscape. Line, figure drawing, even landscape drawing demands foreshortening in order to produce the effect of a solid form. You cannot outline a figure with a bent wire and hope to render its solid aspect. Look for two kinds of lines: the flowing or rhythmic line, weaving it about the form, and for the sake of stability and structure, the contrasting straight or angular line. So again, I think it's I think that can be really helpful for us, sort of, to think about, like,
Can you go over the two
sure.
different lines again?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So let me try to go over that that little bit here. So you must understand the difference between contour and line. So a piece of wire presents a line. A contour is an edge. That edge may be sharp, maybe a sharp limitation to the form, like the edges of a cube, or a rounded and disappearing limitation, the contours of a sphere. Many contours pass in front of one another, like the contours of an undulating landscape. So we can see lines like, like when we do a gesture drawing, like we may sort of draw a line that sort of travels through the figure, right? The whole body could be a line, you know what I mean? But when we want to differentiate, form, right? Like one form from another, this is a discernment that we make through a contour. So something that just was just covered is that you can use, if you're painting, you can just sort of put one shape in front of another, and thus the contour is the contour is made by shape on shape, right? But when we're using line as our part of our visual language, there's a contoured edge that's going to describe that form to the point of view of the viewer. So you can have a very, very crisp and angular edge, right? Or you can also have this sort of, this sort of edge that's sort of soft and fading away that conveys information, right? But I think if you're just always thinking about line as this always this same line, well, I mean, I guess a lot of coloring books maybe work that way, and that can be, it is a way of conveying stuff. But if you want your visual language to speak with more nuance, right, then you really start to invest the time in thinking about how these lines do their communicating. Does that make sense? Was that helpful?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Yeah, there, it's. I think it's simply a matter of, like, what is it that you want to get from it? What is it that you want to get out of the line? And so the rightness or wrongness of it is just merely in terms of what your intention is, right? And so it can be very rudimentary and simplified, and that might be exactly what you were intending to do. So I mean, that can be a victory. But of course, if you're trying to, if you're trying to convey other things, you're trying to be more, like, convincing representationally speaking, then yeah, you're always sort of dealing with this. It's like a problem. The line that's there doesn't actually exist, but by using it, you're sort of speaking about a truth. I know that it's a contradiction, I'm sure, like, we're using this illusion This it's not there. It's kind of it's a fabrication. It's a lie, but it speaks to the truth of something, right? To the truth of the form as you're seeing it. So you're conveying one thing to another, and these I think are uh, these I think can be just part of the, again, that magic, or that like sort of that real interest that you can bring out. But this is the first chapter in this book, and in the, like, sort of in the preface of the book, Loomis talks about that this is the most important chapter because he sort of lays out the foundation for the rest of it. So while there's a lot of other technical things in it, if you end up buying this book and checking it out, you can really linger over this first part, really read it, really go through what's going on, and that will help you. It will help you out as you move through, and you're sort of gaining the knowledge that's within it. So I've got this back up a little bit. Let's see it better. All right, so here's like here's a turnaround in concept art, and and sort of developing characters and stuff. This presentation is called a turnaround. So you have a front view, a side view, and a back view. And again, just sort of talk again, reference Kim Jong-gi. This was something that he always practiced, and that was like, can you draw a thing and hold it in your mind and turn it around and draw it from different angles? Same thing, just different angles and stuff. It's very challenging, but it's it can be this really valuable practice. So, all right, this is idealized proportions, 8 heads tall. Again, it's a place to start. You may or may not ever find a person that's 8 heads, that has this 8 head proportion. It's idealized, but it's again, there's like I was talking about, there may be things in this in this book that are not as you can take it or leave it, right? There are things that you can find valuable, and maybe even valuable in terms of giving you insight into the way that you don't want to be. But again, so this idealized male head, or male figure rather, what it does do is it does give us this very interesting way of thinking about like how to break down the human figure, right? So you can always use the head as a proportion that will tell you about the rest of the body. And so you measure the head, and you can measure how many of those units will go into the overall height. And then, of course, the overall width, right? Whether it's the profile width, or the, thinking about like the width of the shoulders and whatnot. And then again, there's this, from a different author that we covered a few weeks ago, this whole idea of the middle point, right? The very halfway point of the overall body itself. So, I mean, you can always divide 1 into 2, right? It's, like if you have 1, you divide it into 2, right? It'd be the first. You can always do it. And so, especially if you do it like in a evenly, right? Divide evenly, then you end up with, it's a good place to start. It's a good place to sort of, to begin the process. All right. So same thing here. This is some idealized female proportions of a woman's body, and so and I had a lot of students ask me like, well, why is she wearing heels? In this picture, it's like, so nude figure, but wearing heels. Again, I won't. I don't know what to say about it. I do know. I was teaching figure drawing during the pandemic, and so so while the model would be sitting on stage and we'd be drawing them, they would be completely nude. but would have to wear their mask. So we have all these figure drawings of, the naked body, but with a mask on. So, different times, different necessities, I suppose. But anyway, uh, we've got this same sort of theory here, this same sort of idea in terms of the head being used as a way to measure the overall body. Um, so here's a sort of like um, just a comparison, if you like, of how these ideas sort of stand up. Now, 7.5 heads is pretty much like that's been sort of thought as that's been sort of thought and covered as something that's a little bit closer to an average, right? Again, these are going to be like places to start from, but it doesn't necessarily. There is not this absolute truth in it. It's these are principles that is a place to start, right? So, insofar as they are true, they're also false, right? So, 7.5 heads. Here, Andrew Loomis says, like, used in most academic schools, rather dumpy. He calls it rather dumpy. That's what measure yourself. I bet you very well might be about 7.5 heads tall. So idealistic, right? This is Loomis's sort of take on it. Idealistic, 8 heads tall, right? It's a little bit, the proportions totally differ, right? The proportions become totally different. For fashion, right? And so if you've ever seen like, sketches, fashion sketches, right? A lot of time, the figures are very elongated, right? To sort of, give us more of a flow for the clothing, right? How the clothing might flow. It's what they kind of do. It's likely what's, I don't know how much it's still taught, but this is what it would have been taught. Like you have a very elongated figure, so that way it's, it sort of accentuates the clothing more. And then when you go into antiquity and you look at a lot of, sculptures and stuff, you're going to see this 9 heads proportion. So it's a very heroic, this very heroic figure, 9 heads tall. That's just units, right? Just using the unit of the head as a measurement for the overall height. Again, height and width. These are the 2 dimensions, right? And as we've been talking about, it takes light and value to describe, the 3rd dimension. But in drawing, we can actually sort of we can represent this 3rd dimension with 2-dimensional lines because we're using a 2-dimensional plane. So sort of using the idea of perspective and applying it to the figure, right? That's sort of the end result of at least, sort of thinking about the height and the width relationship. So you can start to represent the third dimension. You can start to represent a depth, right? Height, width, and depth. Again, this was something that we can certainly take that from Kim Jong-ji. You look at his work. I'm going to scroll down here just to this very interesting, this idea here, sort of putting things inside of a box, right? This is something that you'll see a lot of artists do, but insofar as how do you start to put these forms into space? Well, if you can think about a form that will hold the form you want to draw. Let's see, there's one with boxes. Yeah, where'd that one go? Here it is. This one. So again, very rigid, right? If I sort of put us, put our attention on this one, very rigid sort of form, right? It's almost very static. But again, that's a part of the nature of the form, right? We have a form. Human figure is a form. So, if you can draw this box with some dynamism, you might be able to start to put the figure in more dynamic sorts of relationships. And then again, once you start to, I'll scroll back up. Once you start to place them, in relationship to one another, well, now you can start to put them in sort of an environment. Now you can start to put different figures interacting with one another, right? Once you really understand the perspective, the simple perspective of forms and stuff, the simple perspective of forms, then you really ought to be able to, draw the figure and place the figure around in various ways. So now, like, you could draw this without reference, but if you really want to end up with a final rendering, you would need to gather some references, right? So it depends on what, I guess it depends on what you're doing. If you really practice it enough, you really sort of develop your powers of observation where you're like always looking at things, you're always drawing them. You might be able to come up with a very interesting and attractive drawing just sort of from your imagination. But of course, like, having the ability to sort of to compose something and then gather the references and stuff at a later time, I think that can be, it can be very powerful, and is a part of what we were, trying to return to our earlier part of our conversation, is a part of how you can compose things. It's how you can start to use sort of your own imagination to come up with something. And so anyway, yeah, that's let me stop sharing that. Anyways, so yeah, that was just, I wanted to share that with you all. Thank you all for for checking it out. I hope that was enjoyable.
Well, it's a really amazing documentary about MC Escher on YouTube. I'm just bringing it up because we got done talking about perspective, and it's probably one of the best documentaries about an artist that I have ever seen, because it's done in his own words, where he actually sits you down and explains to you the process by which he went into making each individual piece. So just look up NC Escher on YouTube. It is amazing.
I definitely will do that.
I'm going to be looking that up too. He's one of my favorites.
Oh my God, you're gonna get so much out of it.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah, that's a great recommendation. Yeah, I'm really fascinated with perspective. It's one of those things that I can't get enough of it. I think intuitively we try to present things as in relationship to an assumed viewpoint. Like if we're drawing a picture, we are assuming a viewpoint, right? This is something we talked about yesterday in our conversation about like looking through a window, right? It's the same sort of idea, like you're looking through a window or whatever, and so you end up having this assumed point of view, and you try to bring things closer or farther or whatever, and that's if so you're sort of using perspective in an intuitive way, but I think once you take the time, you start to learn about some of the theories. If you can start to to bring those together, it can really be helpful. This is not about becoming like completely enslaved to them, but it certainly is. It's about using your tools. Does that make sense? Right?
Oh yeah.
Learning a tool and being able to use it, I think, that's the name of the game. You know what I mean? So, like if you use a screwdriver to hammer in nails, something like that. Which is what I was working on. I had a window that was malfunctioning, and I had to work on it, and it was like I was using all the wrong tools to do it with, But I learned a thing or two, right? So sometimes, again, you have this sort of, you know, you have to like take a few steps back in order to in order to make some progress, and you learn a thing or two through your trials and errors, right? So
Mhm.
it takes time. It's a process. I think that's definitely true. So, but anyway, um, yeah, I had let's see, we've got another guest joining us this morning, Ricardo.
Hey,
Hey, Ricardo in the building.
Ricardo. Good morning, Ricardo.
Hey, morning. What's up?
Great to have you.
Yeah, likewise. But thanks for being there. Thanks for hosting and letting me be here, man.
Of course. Yeah, it's always a
Jason, good
pleasure.
morning. Amber, hello.
Jason.
good morning. How are you?
Doing good. We had a couple. I had 2 weddings this weekend, so I've been like
Wow.
nonstop, dude. It's crazy. Yeah. So feeling a little, dry today. We're here.
I hear you.
Glad you can make it.
Yeah.
Well, I had we drew a skull last week, and I like I told myself, and I promised all of you I was gonna work on it a little bit more. Here's my last week's skull. We were using ink, right? So I can hold it up here. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's my
Very
last
cool.
week's skull, right? And then I did another one. Let's see, I can. So there, yeah.
Oh,
There's
that's good.
the other one I worked on.
Yeah.
Just a little bit
Wow.
more time, and a little bit more sort of a little more value. I think a little bit more like a tonal value. But again, it was really meaning to, or really intending to just use pen, to just use ink for it. And I didn't do any, like pencil layout and stuff. I wanted to just take a risk. So again, I think, of course, could be more accurate. Of course, it could have more sort of, yeah, could have more details and stuff. But there was something that I thought I found really useful. So anyway, that's what we did last week, and again, Spirit has encouraged me to try to assign like some weekly homework to everybody. So I've been trying to keep up with it myself. It can be this again, like stuff comes up. We got like work, we got weddings, we got what I mean. There's all sorts of things, and it's tough to keep up. But it's always
Yeah.
I think like having the challenge is it's makes things so worthwhile. So.
Mhm. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I agree, man. It can be life can take over sometimes, but it's always good to practice.
Yeah.
And it's always good to practice it with pen and markers and stuff like that. I like drawing with those too, man. There's like a permanence to it. You know what I mean? It's like a little much more like, what is it? What's the right way to say it? Like an objective, you know? There's much more of an objective there, and it's like concentrating on the shapes and the proportions and paying attention to placements of line and stuff like that, contour lines especially. I enjoy that too. And if not, you can just turn it into something else.
Right. Yeah, they're right. There could be some trial and error there and stuff. Yeah, there can be there's some risk, right? There's some risk that you end up sort of taking. Um, especially because it's like, unforgiving medium. Tattoos are that way. It's unforgiving, in a certain
Yeah.
respect, right? You've gotta really have a lot of intention and a lot of, uh, uh, a lot of
Confidence in your line.
a plan. Mm-hmm. Really got to have a plan going forward. That's something that's like it's sort of constantly I'm constantly being reminded of it in my tattoo. How important it is, you know what I mean, to prepare. How important it is to, you know, to 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 be attentive, to be present, right, while you're working, and like, you know, being there, being focused. It's again, it's sort of like there's this flow state that you can reach, I think, and it doesn't have to, you know, it's where you're probably doing some of your best work, but it again, it's a process that sort of, you know, that like it you know, it comes to you through that working. Um,
Hmm.
it's like you know, somebody who uses a hammer all the time, they become really, really, really proficient with hammering in nails, almost to the point where, you know, the hammer becomes like an extension of their body. And our machines, I think, could do the same thing, right? You become so proficient with using it, you become so attuned to it. It's just an extension of your body, right? It's not really even separate from you. It's a part of you yourself. You know, you're using that, and it's again, it's just sort of there's a relationship and there's a flow that happens. So,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
ever, you ever feel that way?
Oh yeah, man, for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
Mhm.
Good,
definitely.
good, good.
I know that I've always tried to practice whenever I'm hammering something, then I'll try to do that one hit nail. You know what I mean? Like I try to drive it in one hit. It's like, no, no. But if I practiced it a lot more, I'd probably be able to get it done now, right? But with the tattooing, for sure, man, it's become like muscle memory. You know what I mean? The technique and stuff like that. Like it's like when you're trying to teach somebody how to tattoo, you're breaking down the movements and things like that. You know what I mean? The pull on this with your pulling hand, and then the strokes with the machine. And after a while, you know what I mean? It just, you don't even think about that anymore. You're just applying the ink. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
awesome. Well, so we're all here, and you know, hopefully, I know we promised some drawing and stuff. I know that we had I know that we've been talking about.
Can I show you my skull real quick?
Yeah, please. I'd love to see it.
Okay. All right. I didn't have the last one, but this is the one I did. Let me take that off. Just a second. How do you do that? Of course, I do not know. Backgrounds and effects. There we go. Oh, gracious. Here we go. Of course. Murphy's Law.
Awesome.
So right here, right where the lower half of the jaw meets, I learned this from the book, the Harley Brown Essential Eternal Truths for Every Artist, where you can actually kind of like blend parts of the image into the background, and it kind of gives it more depth, whereas it allows everything to kind of jump out a little further. So this little trick right here, I kind of learned reading a book, and this is the book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
book
I
is
love that
fun.
book.
Yeah, that's great.
Love that book. And I also really appreciate that technique, what you're just talking about, lost edge.
Mm.
The lost edge. That's sort of the way I've always heard it like described, is that
Mhm.
you know, you have this sort of this dark shadow, like we were talking about earlier with the contour, right? So that the edge of the jawbone would basically be the contour, the limit of the jawbone, right? But
Mm-hmm.
because of the dark shadow that it's in, and it has a shadow on top of it, it starts to become, you know, mysterious. Like where does it end, and where does the, you know, the sort of the background begin? Um, so, you know, as the artist, you know, you might get stuck in that spot where you're sort of like, you know, you're trying to render the background and you're trying to render the reflected light a little bit. And it's kind of, you know, a push and pull. And then what's actually darker, um, there can be a way to sort of to try to express it. But I love that. I love that playing that game, especially drawing from life, and especially working and trying to render things and make them very like representational. So and so I thought I loved all of the rendering, and I love the note on top of it. I think I think writing notes are I think writing notes while you're drawing and stuff is really important, and it's a combination, right? Language and an image can be it can be so beautiful. It can also be so interesting too, and it can be really really helpful for I mean, for the artist personally, but of course, like the audience, they're going to get something different from it, just like the image, right? Just like the image, we can't control what the image is for the for the audience. We can only present it to them and let them sort of deal with it. But I love that. Thank you, Spirit, for sharing that.
Absolutely. Thanks for the homework.
Yeah, of course, of course, of course. Let's see. All right. So, let's see. Still got you. Let's see what we got here. Gallery mode. All right. Let me see. I can. So I've got. I've got some forms here. I even got a light as well. Yeah, so just some basic geometrical forms. I figured it might be sort of nice. Again, we were kind of talking about how, like, the figure has got this form and geometry. It might be sort of fun to give these a try. So, and then of course, I'd also love to do a couple of quick gesture drawings as well. But yeah, I thought this would be interesting, sort of change up from what we've what we've been doing, but also as a way to kind of like to help us, the way we think about, right, the way that we think about our figures and stuff. So got my, I can put these back a little bit, drawing a little bit. I'm gonna do just a couple of quick warm-ups. Just gonna like, I wonder if my pen is gonna work today. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see how long my pen works. Let's see what's up. Jason's got to go. Thanks for stopping by, Jason. It was really great to have you.
I gotta go too. So sorry. Right. But I did take a screenshot of these shapes, and I'll definitely be working on them. Is there homework outside of this?
Let's let's try to work on do one of these shapes if you get a chance to. If you get a chance. Again, I don't want anybody to feel like pressure. This is really a fun sort of space. But I think too, try out one of these shapes if you get a chance to, and I think drawing from a picture is fun, but also you can also if you have a little object to draw, this is where it can start, and then you can start to make something more complicated. Like you practice these, practice drawing figures from life, you bring them together. I think it really becomes something that's really quite special. So anyway, thanks for coming, Spirit, and thanks for showing your skull. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'll see you guys next week.
All right,
bye,
see you
Ricardo.
next time.
Bye, Amber. Bye, Lita. Bye, James.
Have a good day.
Bye, Spirit.
Later, guys. Later, man.
Cool. So I'm just warming up my hand and eyes, doing a couple of these ellipses. I do like to practice them. But it's a warm up. Let's see here. So feeling a little bit more warmed up. Right. So we'll see it. Like I said, I'll see how long my pen will operate for. I like this this center one here. It's like, I think it's a dodecahedron or something like that. But I think I might sort of go for this pyramid shape, just for simplicity's sake. So let's start off. Oops. Cancel. There we go. Plus. So I'll just draw this from my perspective. Slightly different than the camera's going to show it, but sort of using my pen, I can sort of sight the angle, right? I can hold it up and then I can bring it right down to my canvas here. Just very quickly come up with. Always double check.
Hey.
Right. So very simple and very quick. Very simple and very quick. Just a quick sketch. But from my point of view, it's fairly similar. Check this out. So let's see. Move that just a little tiny bit. So if I'm like sitting, at the bus stop and I'm waiting for the bus, right? Or if I'm like, I can go to the library, I can go to the coffee shop, right? I can go out into life and I can observe things and draw them. This is what I would do. Set up my paper, tablet, whatever, and then just use my what I have available, the tool of my drawing implement, and I would probably cite a few angles and try to get some basic sort of shapes, some basic forms down, and then again, start to sketch them out as well, right? Once something is established, I think that can be really useful, really helpful. So just a couple of quick measurements. And then I'll squint. I'll like, keep back up my camera. Then I'll squint. I'll squint my eyes and I'll look at the form and I'll look for the light. So in this case, it's pretty simple. We've got 3 tones, right? We've got a highlighted side here, and everything's pretty like evenly lit, right? So we've got the lit up side. We've got like this certainly shadow side, the dark side of the form, but then it's casting a shadow, right? And so we have all of the elements of the shadow as well. Seems like there might be 2 lights in the room, so we've got like a double sort of shadow going. It's very subtle, but I'll probably just simplify it down to just this one and keep it somewhat definitive. And I think that's a part of what you would do with, your drawing from life. You would end up simplifying it in a way. You would really try to take the information and make it intelligible, right, for the audience. All right, so I've got slightly darker shadow, which we can see just this area like underneath the form here. The light is really occluded. It's not coming through at all. So, and then I'll turn this down. I'll just block it in. I'm not going to worry too much about too much detail, but just to block in that area, right? I think I will here. This would be would be a little bit of a cheat here, but I can darken in the background a bit, and that will kind of make it'll make the whole form go. It can be a little bit lighter. So that, and then take that down. Take out some of this value here. little bit bigger. Yeah, there. So I'll do that. So it's a little bit of a cheat. And then I'll go with lighter. There we go. Fun. Working digitally is really can be really, really, I think, just invigorating, right? It can really sort of invigorate your creativity. We're talking about with tools, though. I mean, it can become a crutch. It can become something that's, you know, uh, it can hold you back if you don't, if you don't learn like to get from it what you want. But yeah, there we go. And then let's see. So maybe even just a little bit. Got one more guest joining us. Hello, Elise. Good morning. There we go. Fun. Yeah, so now I've got this kind of relationship of the the again, there's these three tones, but if I include the background, then now there's four. Hi, Elise.
Hello.
Great
I'm
to have
homesick
you.
today.
Yeah, we were just drawing these simple forms, just sort of talking about perspective and figure drawing and stuff. Yeah. I was hoping to do just a couple of quick figure drawings. If anybody is, let me see if I got it here. Our Posematics, Posemaniacs rather. So let me see. Remove the spotlight. Okay, cool. Right. So that just a quick one. Did anybody get a chance to draw one of the forms?
Oh, yeah, I drew 2 of the forms.
Let's see. I'd love to see them. Wonderful. Yeah. Love it. This is exactly what we were hoping for. And nice, I think some nice control over the values and then also, nice crisp lines. So yeah, very
Thank
nicely
you.
done. Yeah, very nicely done. Ricardo, what were you up
Yeah,
to? You draw anything?
I got you. Yeah.
Let's see it. Hold on here. Let me check
Can
you
you
out.
see?
Yes. Oh,
It's on orange
Ricardo, that's
paper.
awesome.
Oh, man.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So I drew a little skull real
Yeah.
quick too. So
Go back to
Sorry
your
about the dog.
go back to your form real quick because
It's perfect.
say something because it keeps picking up me. So Ricardo, you talk and talk about.
Can you see the form? It's on orange paper right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I just focused on the cast shadow primarily and then started kind of like laying in some medium tones for the angles that's on the dodecahedron. And yeah, I mean, there's a little bit more that's, the orange paper it's not allowing to pick up and stuff like that on the camera, but yeah, no, just focused on the background tones more than anything else to kind of create that silhouette since it's white on black, you know what I mean?
Love it. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah, thank you.
beautiful. It is, yeah, it's beautiful, and so and I love it on the orange paper as well. So
I thought it was festive, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's pumpkin
Halloween,
spice, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's pumpkin spice the
paper.
decahedron.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna jump over to do this. Let's do this. Share it. Cool. So, so if you all would like to, you want to draw. Let's just do a couple of 2 minute sketches, or yeah, these quick sketches. 90 seconds. Why not? And then hang out as long as you can. If you want to do one that's if you want to do one that's a little bit longer, I think I'm into it. So I'm gonna hit start. If you got your paper, ready? 3, 2, 1. Cool. Really interesting, thinking, like a thinker kind of a pose.
I really like the muscles that you can see that are exposed. It helps with the contour lines, like the gravity, the weight of the body. You know.
I also like this. I like this too. It's really interesting working this way. So there was that one. So we're doing another one.
You know what's been awesome is growing up with like the Disney animation. You know what I mean? Like seeing how you can make a two-dimensional object seems so alive and so flowy and so like wrapped up in its own world. You know what I mean? I've always drawn from those cartoons as inspiration for sure.
I always really found like with like sort of either before or after the movies, they would show the I think it sort of starts with this gesture, this quick sort of capturing of.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you were cutting off. I think I was freezing up a little bit, but I think I heard you say something. I think I heard you say something about the gestures and things like that, and I agree with you too. Like the quick capture of the character and the form and such stuff. I agree with you completely. It's really cool to see how line can have such an influence over movement. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's that one. Yeah, these streams are also like turned into podcasts. So it's this part right here where everyone's like, "What?" There's no sound, so it's
Yeah.
got to keep the conversation going, even though.
Sorry to be silent. I just
No.
It's all your fault, Elise. Way to go. Everything was going so cool.
Yep.
And then Elise got on here. I'm like, uh-oh.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bless you.
I've been really into saying bless you lately. I keep thinking about that movie Dogma.
Dogma.
Ever seen that movie? There's this scene where Matt Damon is like he's like an archangel, like an angel of death or something, and like he sneezes and then nobody says bless you, and so he decides to slaughter the whole group.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Gotta say bless you, I guess.
Sounds like Catholic school all over again.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't go to Catholic school. I did go to church school for a while. I was Protestant, but yeah, it was pretty strict too. I've just always loved like, church paintings though, like in Catholic churches and stuff, the stained glass, the icons, the paintings and stuff. I've been so fascinated. I guess it's sort of like, they weren't allowed in the churches that you know what I mean? Like when I was younger and went to church more regularly, just wasn't a part of it. It probably becomes, pretty like run of the mill if you see it all the time.
Oh.
I don't know.
So there was no artwork in your church?
Not really. I mean, there was there would be some stuff, I guess, but not like in the church. You know what I mean? It'd be like I had an illustrated Bible, so it was like a Bible as a comic book kind of thing. It was very.
That's awesome.
It was pretty fun.
It's always fun too, like seeing those churches, man, and like all the artwork and like finding the sacred geometry underneath like the composition. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like even like the Holy Trinity, that Trinity knot is like based off of the centerpiece of like the seed of life and stuff like that too. It's pretty cool. You're like, hey, that's older than the churches.
Let's finish up this one here, and then we'll move on to a slightly longer one, and that'll be about our day today. But I don't know, it's just so I think rewarding to be in these drawing spaces with others and get to talk about stuff, and it can be challenging to make the time to draw, figure. Even like at least you're still in school, right? But it's still probably like you're probably so busy right now. It's like you're really focusing on 3D modeling and stuff.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, right now I'm working on sculpting a horse at crochet, so I'm kind of having to like go back and like lean on a lot of my life drawing stuff that I haven't really done in a while. So, yeah.
Yeah, I hope I get a chance to see that when it's all You get it finished.
Yeah, totally. I actually, well, the écorché is not going to be in it, but I just finished rendering some stuff for the 3D show.
Fun.
Yeah.
Let's. I'm gonna grab today's pose. Right, today's pose. Oh, what is pose of the day? Well, we were kind of thinking about like these body as geometrical form. So this one is very like this one is very sort of
It's giving fallen and I can't get up.
yeah, it's really closed in. But I think this might be a fun one to try. Why not? I'm gonna set a timer and just keep it at like we'll just go for 10 minutes. So give it a try. Ooh, let's see here. My timer's going. Don't want to get too loud, but yeah, so we'll do 10 minutes on this one. See what happens. I can zoom in a little bit. How's that? A little bit better?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's give it a try. I think we can envelope this figure. We think about like, what kind of shape that it might have.
The overall silhouette is definitely a triangle.
Mm-hmm. Very challenging.
I like to pay attention to the negative areas in it too, and how that affects the overall contour of the limbs, the appendages, and things like that.
That's a good tip, especially on this
Yeah.
one. I'm definitely going to put that into play. So, Ricardo, you got any exciting projects lined up this week?
This week, not so much. I'll be continuing on some pieces that we've had done, started, and like just in continuing some of the work and everything like that. But I will be starting on some sketches for some full sleeves here pretty soon, and I'm really excited about it. Awesome. It's been pretty awesome. Recently, I've been trying to stay on a positive note. I haven't had too many new clientele coming in, but I have had a lot of return clientele wanting some larger work, and it's actually opened up my schedule so I can really focus on these new projects. And it's kind of something I've always wanted to happen, and I've never really taken the initiative to make that happen as far as clearing out my schedule to do so. So it's kind of fallen into place. I'm really excited about the opportunity to sit down and hand draw some of these sleeves again. Like I've grown so accustomed to drawing on the tablet that I'm looking forward to actually, I took a tracing of the arm instead of a photo of it and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And very physical process to it. So I'm really pumped about it, to be honest with you. So this one kid wants a whole punk rock theme sleeve. So I'm really excited about that. Like he's given me the green light on drawing this large scale pinup kind of figure with a mohawk and a skull. So I'm like really pumped about that. It's like, yes.
Ooh, who's got a dog?
That's me. Sorry about that.
I love dogs.
I do too. She can bark at the wind sometimes, and that's what she's doing right now. Calm down. It's okay, girl. She's a big German Shepherd. Everybody's so afraid of her, but she's such a sweetheart.
I love German Shepherds, though.
Yeah, she's a big shedding baby. She's never had puppies, but I'm pretty sure the amount of hair that she gets rid of on a daily basis is enough to make another dog. I'm sure of that.
You knit a dog sweater. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Dude.
There's actually a woman who does that. She takes people's
really?
cats. Yeah, there's a woman who like brushes people's cats, and then she spins the cat hair into yarn, and then she makes like little purses out of them. It's really weird, but I mean, I guess that kind of bag's not too good for people who are allergic.
This is a bizarre pose to draw. I won't lie, but but there's something, I don't know, there's something kind of something really interesting about it, you know, like how closed in it is. I don't know, like earlier today we were talking about like how do you convey, say like an adorable child versus somebody who's got like an untrustworthy face. And it's like, there's probably all kinds of, like little markers and little things that we're always looking for. It's kind of I don't know if it's universal necessarily. I mean, I guess there's this behavioral, like researchers who, like FBI does that stuff, right? Like they can do like a lie detector test. I guess there was that movie, Meet the Parents. They had that
I never saw it, but I know the.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The character's name was Greg Fokker. So Robert De Niro was the father. He would say something like, I got nipples. You milk me, Fokker? Pretty funny. Pretty funny.
This is definitely a very interesting pose.
Yeah. Well, hang in there, gang. We're just, we just got like just a couple of minutes, and this one will be in the books. I guess I'm kind of I got the form down, and now I'm kind of drawing in some of the muscles, but I don't want to get too, I don't want to get too like noodly. That's what my old drawing teacher would say. Just noodling. So you got to keep the form in mind, and then probably it's probably all the tone, right? The overall tones and stuff. Yes. We're in the. I got a text about the movie reference, right? Remember the circle of trust, right? You're the circle of trust.
Excuse me.
Always it's going to be some. I mean, you can always improve, right? Perfection is unattainable. Try to have a nice, confident finish here.
I'm having some sort of finish.
Right. Yeah. Put some contour. We were talking about today, like the importance of the contour. And so that's just the limit, right, of the shapes. There's going to be all kinds of lines that are going to happen. You know, you could probably put in there, but you know, the most valuable ones would be this sort of contours that give the information, give the viewer the clue as to what it is they're seeing. The more that I look at it, the kind of, you know, the more that gets revealed. So
I really love the parallel between the cheekbone and the shoulder strap area too. It's really like just my eyes just drawn to that area for some reason.
I think we're all going to come up with, you know, with something. We're all going to really focus on something probably, and that'll be the, you know, the thing that, like, you know, whatever captivated us. So yeah, it is what it is, you know. That was our time. So yeah, okay, cool. Well, stop the share. And I've got here. I'll show my mess of a sketch. There you go.
Oh, you're little.
I think you have me
Oh
on.
yeah, hold on
on
a
the
second.
main screen.
Let's see here.
Like, hey, I recognize
There.
that guy.
Yeah. All right, there. I think if I talk, then maybe. Not sure.
No, I think I'm still the guy.
Let's see. Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Now, okay. There. Yeah. Look at that. Cool. All right. So there's mine.
Mm.
I think the face is a little bit suspect. But I like the figure. I think there's some stuff about the figure that I thought, like, I think that's all right. Yeah, that face has seen better days. But Ricardo, let me see yours. I want to see yours so bad.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you'll be able to see with the orange paper.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Hey.
No, it's really, really beautiful with the rendering and stuff.
Yeah. I said the thing that I was paying attention to is the placement of everything, like with the cheekbone and the parallel of the shoulder strap. They're like almost in line with each other. And I was able to really like focus that point on the end of the hands and the feet, you know? And I saw this like basic, like weird isosceles kind of triangle there.
I think it's gorgeous. Stunning drawing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very interesting, and it looks like it's like, so we had this weird shape, and you were able to sort of capture almost like a you know, like a superhero type of a vibe, you know. So it's very impressive, very cool.
Thank
At
you.
least.
Feel like Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah. Totally.
All right. You're gonna have to forgive me. I haven't life drawn in a while, so be nice to me. Uh-oh, I'm on an iPad. Oh, there we go.
Come a little bit closer.
Oh,
There it is.
hey, I really struggled with this. I've never done such a scrunched up pose before.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to place like the like foreshortening of things and stuff was just really difficult for me.
Well, I'm so glad you got a chance to practice it, and you know, there again. So I think both of you really focused in on the beautiful flow of the muscles and stuff, and then added those lines to sort of, you know, to heighten that. So I think in those ways, very interesting. You know, the head in yours might be just a little bit big, at least, but otherwise, you know, I think again, I would liken some of the outcome to some of the beautiful things in Ricardo's drawing, just how like so elegant, right? Some of the muscles and how they relate to one another. So really smart, just really smart like approach. And so you know, I am I am lucky, right, to be hanging out with this crew. I really think so. Um, and so I think on that note, we've had an incredible session today, and I'm so glad that you all could join us. I'm so glad that everybody who could join earlier was able to come in. It's always a pleasure to have people to draw with. So I think let's just we'll do some sign off, if you don't mind. Elise, tell us your name and if we can find you anywhere.
I'm Elise Morrow. I am a 3D artist. I'm currently working on character and hard surface modeling, and you can find me on Instagram at Technodreaming.
That's great. Thank you, Ricardo.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Ricardo Sturdivant. Thank you, James, for letting me join your class today. It was fun. I love doing the figure drawings in the morning, man. Gets you kind of warmed up, gets the juices flowing. You know what I mean? Elise, it's nice to meet you. You can find me at Ricardo Sturdivant on Instagram, and on Tuesday mornings here on the Reinventing the Tattoo live streams at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Tuesday Feels. Holler.
Thank you, Ricardo. And thank you all again for joining. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Drawing for Tattooers. I'm James Wisdom. You can find me every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern right here on Reinventing the Tattoo. Happy drawing, everybody.